Yes, people. Welcome back to Wild Thoughts with JMRB Media. And tonight is the 3rd of November, approximately, or a little past 10 p.m. Uh, Pacific time. Okay? And I have a few topics to discuss tonight. Nothing really planned. I'm kind of going off the cuff tonight. So, yeah, anything goes tonight, okay? So I'm kind of it's kind of free thought, like free speech, free spirit. Tonight there's many things out there to talk about, while keeping my finger on the pulse. But I've selected a few things that I want to kind of discuss, but nothing like planned, what I mean, to say, okay, I really need to share this. I need to show this video because this covered this. Or I need to show this document whatsoever. It's just me talking, okay? The way I see it, that's the mantra, and that's what I'm sticking to, okay? So tonight is gonna be a little bit different, okay? But before I do that, I'm gonna do a quick intro and then I'm gonna come back. Okay? All right, here we go. Hello and welcome. This is Jovi and this is Wild Thoughts. This is my thoughts. This is free speech, so I don't buy talk. Albeit, this is how I see it. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to my channel. All right, there we go. Okay, so just a quick intro, and then I'm gonna start talking nonstop. No, there should be a little bit of pauses in there. Okay, so what shall we start with? Okay, so today is what, Sunday? So as usual, I'm gonna start with the NFL, right? That's where I like to start. Get my sports in there. Um, so just going around the league. Um, uh, I think it was what, Thursday night football. Yeah, Thursday night football. The Jets beat the Texans 21-13. Today, um, the Panthers beat the Saints 23-22. So the Panthers won their second game. I think they were 2-7, right? Their number one overall pick, quarterback, he's on the bench, and you have what's his name? He used to start for the Bengals. Man, I forgot his name. Yeah, but he used to start for the Bengals. He's their starting quarterback now, and they won their second game. So, I'm sure they had higher expectations for the season, but it didn't quite pan out the way they planned it. The Commanders won again. They beat the Giants. The Giants is not really a good team. In my personal view, I think they need a quarterback. Daniel Jones is just not cutting it. The rookie quarterback for the Commanders, though, I think he has resurrected that franchise. He's doing really, 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 really well, right? But they win here 27-22. Dolphins, they went down to the Bills 30-27. Tua came back from his injury. He had a concussion, and anybody who watched the football league, then the NFL, they know that Tua is had many stints as of recent with concussions. It's to the point where people are actually telling him that are suggesting that he should retire before it becomes more catastrophic. So, but he's back. The Miami Dolphins, they're putting points on the board. However, they can't win because I guess their defense sucks. Okay. So hopefully they can turn it around and make something of the season. Okay. Chargers beat the Browns. Uh, this was a bad game from Jameis Winston. He threw three picks. Okay, which he's known to throw picks. So I guess he played well last week. This week he didn't do well. So I guess the league kind of got a chance to study him a little bit. The I don't think the Ravens had a chance to prepare for him last week. Now, the Chargers, they were able to prepare for him, knowing his tendencies, know his strengths, know his weaknesses, and things like that. The Titans beat the Patriots 20-17, and the Cowboys, they're on a downward spiral. They lost to the Falcons, the Atlanta Falcons, 27-21. Okay, so high expectations for the Cowboys. Dak Prescott, he just got paid, handsomely. Deservedly so. He did well last season, and that's how sports leagues, work. Okay, you're paid for past performances, not for present. Okay, so he deserved his pay based on his last season performance. Okay, nobody can dispute that. What people will try to dispute that because they're not doing well, but there's no way you can predict the future. So you have to pay people based on past performances. My Raiders, though, they lost to the Bengals and they got thrashed. They got beat 41-24. So the Bengals are slowly rising, right? Their Bengals are known to start slow. I think they start like 1-4, things like that, but they're coming up. They lost they lost last week, but you know that's I would say that's an aberration game. Their quarterback is playing pretty good, and the defense is catching up. So they beat my Raiders. My suspicion is that or my prediction is that the Raiders coach is going to be fired after the end of this season. Okay, they're going to let him play out this season, and then he's going to be fired. They need a good coach up in there, and they need a good quarterback, a quarterback that has good notoriety, who can play but has good notoriety, who can kind of lift the Raiders stock a little bit. Even though they're not playing well, there's other teams around the league that is not playing well, but they're still notable. Their stock has risen, so to speak. You know, so I think we need some good people over there, some good marketing people, a good quarterback that can be marketed and can rise the Raiders stock a little bit. You know what I mean? Raiders is just not being talked about. Even though the Cowboys are losing, they're still being talked about, right? Raiders used to be that team. Even though they're losing, they're not winning, they used to be talked about. But for some reason, since they moved to Vegas, it hasn't been talked about that much. Okay, another team that I follow is the Ravens. Right, I'm a Lamar Jackson fan, and he's doing really well. They lost last week to the Browns. Jameis Winston surprised them, but now he came back and he put up 41 on the Broncos, on the Denver Broncos. Okay, 41-10. So they scored 10, I think it was in the first half that the Broncos did, and they never scored another point after that. They probably could have kicked a few field goals, but they opted to go for it on fourth down on quite a few occasions, and they came up with nothing because at that point the game was out of hand anyway. So they had to put 7 on the board instead of 3, right? So they could have scored more than 10, but they only scored 10 because they missed those opportunities on fourth down. And I watched that game. That was the only game I watched, from start to finish. Well, I didn't watch from start. I watched from the first half to all the way through the second half. That's the only game I watched today. Um, the Cardinals. That's another team. I follow Kyler Murray. He's pretty fun to watch. They beat the Bears. Um, 29 to 9. And uh, Caleb Williams, he's the quarterback. He's the number one overall pick for the Chicago Bears. Um, I think he's throwing the ball too hard. I see the ball hitting because that dude is pretty strong. Caleb Williams is right, but he's throwing and he has a big arm, but he's throwing the ball too hard. I think like I see the wide receivers try to catch the ball, and it's literally seeming like the ball is gonna break their hand. It's like it's gonna knock their freaking head off. There's people I see people like catch the ball, like you catch it with the body catch, and it's like their back they'll snap back like they're gonna break their down back because they're trying to cushion that ball so they can hold on to it. I think he needs to practice the touch. You know what I mean? Like you you can see with like Lamar Jackson, he can throw the ball pretty far. He has a pretty good arm, but he don't throw. He has that touch. He knows how much to put on the ball so the receiver can actually hold on, can actually complete the catch. And I see like for example, Keenan Allen, he's a really good wide receiver, especially when he was playing for the Chargers. And I see ball hitting them in the palms and just falling out because Caleb is putting some stinger on that thing. Like take your time, bro. Like I know you want the ball to get there, but you don't have to throw every ball like it's shot out of a cannon. You know what I mean? Try to put some touch on the ball so your receiver can hold on to the ball. You know what I mean? So, and your stats is gonna look whack. Your stat is gonna look whack when you throw the ball like that, and that's the criticism that I see. That's my criticism based on what I saw. Right? The Eagles beat the Jaguars. The Jaguars almost came back in that game, um, but the Eagles held on 28-23. Rams overpowered the Seahawks 26-20, and Lions beat the Packers 24-14. So the Sunday night game and NBC was the Colts versus Vikings, and the Vikings came away with that victory. Okay. Tomorrow the Buccaneers will be playing. They're playing the Chiefs, so that's another game I'm gonna watch. I want to see what Mahomes is gonna do. Undercover. I'm kind of a Baker Mayfield fan. I think he has endured. They kind of wanted to put him in a backup role, and throughout the league. And he was a number one overall pick to the Cleveland Browns, and he didn't work out there. He went to I think it was the Rams. Or I don't remember which one he went first, but he went to North Carolina and the LA Rams, and it didn't work out there either. So the Buccaneers picked him up, and he's doing pretty good. They went to the playoffs last year. Um, and now they're looking pretty good. So I'm rooting for that guy. Okay. Other sports leagues, and one thing I didn't really cover or talk about in any of my previous videos. I didn't talk about the World Series, but the World Series just went down. And let me verify before I say anything, because I haven't been watching it. Let me see, World Series. Let me see what's going on here. Let me see. Ooh, one. Yeah, so Dodgers won. That's what I thought. Those are the grumblings and the mumblings that I've heard, but I want to make sure that I see it from myself that they actually won. But I never watched it. It's two of the biggest cities in baseball with the most money, right? I think it was a good matchup, but it showed not to be. The Dodgers overwhelmed the um, the the Dodgers overwhelmed the Yankees, right? New York Yankees and the LA Dodgers. Those were the two in the World Series, and the LA Dodgers overwhelmed the New York Yankees. My team is the San Francisco Giants. They didn't do much this year, so I'm looking forward uh, to them doing really good in the upcoming years. I haven't been following baseball that much as of recent. Okay, and there's plenty other sports that I like that I love actually watching that I haven't been following because the time doesn't permit. Okay, but yeah, this looked like okay, so game four the Yankees won game four, right? Yeah, so the Dodgers win 4-1 in the series, and the Dodgers won. They won. Let me see. They won game one 6-3. They won. Where's game two? Game two 4-2. They won game three 4-2 again, and game four the Yankees. They saved face. They won 11-4. That was a commanding win to say, hello, we're really good too. It just didn't work out for us this time around, right? So they put up 11 runs versus four for the Dodgers, and then the final game, which is game five, um, the Dodgers eked out a win 7-6, and the Yankees went down 4-1 in the World Series. I didn't really talk about it. I haven't paid attention to it. I just think it's two of the biggest cities. They have the most money. Normally, when you find that, they kind of just buy out the league, right? Everybody want to play for the Yankees and everybody want to play for the Dodgers, and they have all the money, right? They have Shohei. The Dodgers have Shohei Otani, and the who's a two-way player, by the way. And then the Yankees, they have Aaron Judge over here, over there. So two really good players, but um, yeah, the Dodgers got the better of the Yankees this time around. So we'll see what happens, in the future for the Yankees. Hopefully nothing, because I am a San Francisco Giants fan, so I just hope they win every year. Let's see, and the other thing is that I like underdogs. Okay, so if there's no underdog there, I'm not really watching because I'm always gonna be rooting for the underdog. Okay. All right. Where are we at now? So let's talk about the Premier League for a little bit. Man U, they drew 1-1 with Chelsea. And I'm not gonna cover all the team. I'm just gonna cover the teams that I like. That's how I always do. Not necessarily teams that I like, the teams that I really pay attention to, right? Newcastle beat Arsenal. Arsenal 1-0, right? Liverpool they overcame Brighton 2-1. Brighton scored for first, but then Liverpool came back. Uh, uh, what's his name? Scored a goal. Gakpo scored the first goal for Liverpool, and Mo Salah scored the second goal. That first goal though, it was kind of strange because that goal was actually a cross into the box, but based on the curve that the ball had, it went all the way into the goal. It didn't even touch another player. So um, that's really good. Bournemouth, they beat Man City, um, and who else? Aston Villa, my team. Oh my God, they got pummeled, pummeled by Tottenham Hotspurs, Son and the crew. Right, they got beaten 4-1. So yeah, too bad for them. But that's that on the Premier League. Okay. Um, Another sports news is that is on Joel Embiid. You know the center slash power forward. I think he's more of a center though. Yeah, he's the center for the Philadelphia 76ers. They're superstar, former MVP, former league leading scorer. He got into a kerfuffle, if you will, or a scuffle with a reporter, right? Yeah, he got into a scuffle with a reporter, and it's been reported that the reporter was shoved by Joel Embiid. Okay. Um, it said that the reporter did a piece, right? Did a column or a piece on Joel Embiid, because Joel Embiid hasn't played for the since the NBA season started. He's been injured. He's been injured plagued for throughout his entire career. He's a big guy, and many blame his injuries, and the fact that he's injury prone. Many blame it on his eating habit, because he's really big. He's huge, 7'2", like 300 plus pounds, right? Um, Many blame it on his eating habits. They think that he should eat better. Um, you know, I don't really know if that's the case, but I would say if they know anything about African, they would stop telling him to eat vegetables. You know what I mean? I don't see any African who's gonna stop eat meat, right? And trust me, I know, right? I don't see any African who's gonna stop eating meat. So if they're trying to tell them to stop eating meat, I just think that they're talking to a wall. It's like telling a mountain to move, right? He's not gonna stop eating meat. They probably just tell him to work out. They probably just need to tell him to work out a little bit harder, right? Which we don't know if he's not working out, but he's that good at basketball to where it seemed like he don't have to work out that hard to put up a lot of points, right? He's really good, right? But anyway, he got in a shoving match or altercation with a reporter, because the reporter did a piece on him. But the reporter cited his brother, which he had cited his brother as being his brother. He has a brother that passed, right? And he named his son after his brother, and he used that as motivation to try to get really good at basketball, but also he wanted to win a championship, right? To make them proud, or to put their name on the map, so to speak. And the reporter did a piece citing that, and to say that, hey, you cited your brother, and you spoke about your brother and your son, being your motivation, to win a championship, like kind of like what's happening with that, you know what I mean? Um, Joel Embiid didn't take tea with that, right? He got really upset. A lot of people think that he's upset because a lot of people are coming at him because of his injuries, but in my opinion, I think it's the piece about his brother and his son. You know what I mean? I think me personally, I think these columnists slash reporters, they're getting out of hand, and some people, somebody need to rein in the dogs as it relates to these reporters. These reporters are just putting anything, you know. The moment you give them a pen and a paper, they put anything down, and it doesn't matter how it affect the person that they're covering or are writing about. You know what I mean? And I'm a Jamaican, and I'm black, But there's one thing: anybody who know me would know that I'm an African first before anything else. You know what I mean? I recognize myself through my my African heritage, right? My people, was brought over here through slavery, right? Some of them was left in Jamaica, and a lot of us was scattered all over throughout the Caribbean and South America, and also in North America, right? But I recognize myself through Africa, not just as a Jamaican. Even though I'm proud of my Jamaican nationality, and I'm also proud to be an American citizen, right? You know, but there's a hierarchy, right? And there's a sequence how I go about that, right? And I'm an African first, right? And then everything else come after. Okay, so I'm gonna side with my African brother in this one. And just growing up in Jamaica, like a death in the family, you can't just bring up a person's dead brother, like that. It doesn't matter what context you're trying to bring about, because you don't really know what emotions, you know, um, that evoke in that person's, right? You bringing that up, evoke in that person. You don't know what kind of state of mind that put them in, bearing in mind that this person is going through an injury, so they are just stressed out. I would think that he's a pretty motivated guy. Otherwise, he wouldn't be leading the league in scoring like damn near almost every season, right? And really good and playing really good defense. And defense has nothing to do with skill. Defense has to do with effort. And this guy is a really good defender. He block a lot of shots, and and he alter a lot of shots, right? And he chased down people and block shots, right? That's effort, right? So I don't think this guy is lazy at all, right? I would think that he's probably stressed out, that because he's trying to come back. He's trying to make a comeback for this season. He's trying to, his team is not doing well. He's trying to get out there so he can actually make a positive impact on the team. So you add those stress, you're talking about his brother and his son, like leave his brother and his son's name out of your mouth. If you're a reporter, you should have a gazillion of words to bring about context. You shouldn't have to go for the low hanging fruit. You know what I mean? So if you can't find words to bring about context as a reporter, then you probably need to stop writing. You need to find you another career, another field, right? It's kind of like me. I'm an electrician. If I go out there every day and I can't fix issues and I can't fix problems, I can't fix an outlet. I can't bring back the lights or whatever the case may be. Then I probably should quit being an electrician. Find another something that suits me, right? And I should have more than one ways to fix things. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. Like as a columnist, you can find words, man. And if you can't find words, walk around with a dictionary, or encyclopedia or something like that, or so where you can find words to bring about context. But you shouldn't have, because once again, I'm gonna go back to my roots and where I grew up. I've seen death in my family, right? People just, I'm not talking about people just fall off a tree, fall off a roof, or in a car accident, got shot, or anything. That people just wither away in their sleep, and that alone is sufficient to cause family conflict. Like people get like vexed. I see like old people like get like literally fighting. You know what I mean? I think it was my uncle, my great grand uncle that died, right? And I see like another one of my great grand uncle and my uncle that died, his daughter and some other family member, and they literally fight till they got rolled up in a ball and they're rolling down the hill, right? They're rolling down the hill, and I don't think the only thing you can hear, "Let me go, let me go, let me go, let me go." It's like they're just grabbing each other because people are upset that a family member had passed, right? And as I was saying, it was no catastrophic event that caused this person to die. This person just died of old age and illness, right? So everybody should have expected that this person is gonna pass at some point, right? But still, you still have people who, the emotions take over in that time. You know what I mean? So you don't know what kind of emotions these things evoke. So I'm with Joel Embiid 100% behind this one, right? And you're lucky you didn't get like, you're lucky as an African. It's probably a Jamaican, you would have probably get your forehead, or your nose flattened with a piece of two before or something like that. Like it wouldn't just go down that easy. You know what I mean? You would have been forced to walk with security. I'm telling you that. And I think it's about time somebody make an example out of these columnists, man. You know what I mean? They are way out of whack. They're out of place at times. You know what I mean? And because a lot of times they are able to go on radio shows and they're able to go on TV programs and they have the microphone. They feel like they can say anything and then they go hide behind the police. You know what I mean? I just think that's wrong. You know what I mean? Athletes are human. And I was watching a Skip Bayless interview with Dan Lebertardi, and Dan Lebertardi was saying like athletes are they're superhuman and they should be celebrated, not torn down. And he was digging into Skip Bayless because Skip Bayless is one of the ones that brought about that debate kind of setting on TV and the tearing down of athletes. And Stephen A. kind of picking. I respect Stephen A. But at the same time, you know what I mean? Like he and Skip Bayless kind of brought that thing like it's like these athletes robots, you know what I mean? And it's kind of like they're pre-programmed to do such thing, and if they're not, they need to be reprogrammed. You know what I mean? And Shannon Sharp sometimes, which is kind of disappointing, you know, to some degree because he's a former athlete, so he has been through the trenches, but he's highly critical of players. You know what I mean? Sometimes, which I think it's beyond where he should go with it. You know what I mean? So yeah, Dan Lebertard was digging into Skip Bayless, and like, hey, bro, like, my style of journalism is a lot different from yours, and it come to show that Skip might have had a little issue, a couple of issues from childhood that he hasn't dealt with enough. You know what I mean? And that kind of lead to some of these ways in which he covers athletes, you know what I mean? But these people are human and they deserve grace too, you know what I mean? And you just can't, let me go back here. You just can't be talking about their family just like that. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what kind of context you're trying to bring about because these things evoke emotions and they put people in different state of mind, separate from what they're already in. You know what I mean? And he has to be stressed going through another injury yet again, right? Some of it that he can't control, like a 7'2" guy can't control somebody running into his knee, right? Some of it you just can't control. You can't control you jump high up and you come down and somebody laying on the floor, right? And now you twist an ankle, or you didn't twist the ankle, but it affects your knee, and you already have a bad back. So with anything that offset your lower extremity is gonna affect your back. You know what I mean? And anybody who has back problems knows that once you have back problems, you have back problems. Back problem now is back problem forever. Like you can't solve it. It doesn't matter what kind of surgery you're gonna do, you can't solve it. You're always gonna have back problems. So I'm sorry for him. Even when he hit old age, it's gonna be even worse, right? So I'm with him. You know what I mean? And somebody need to make an example out of these reporters. Somebody need to rein them in, right? But in order to rein things in, sometimes somebody got to get made an example of, right? And the entire media is gonna be on the reporter side because he's one of them, but I'm not, right? Um, yeah, we somebody need to force some of these guys to walk with security because they're way out of hand, right? And they need to be reined in, right? Stop talking about people's families. Critique. There's enough about the sport that you can critique, right? The actual game, right? And the actual sport. If you know that he's not preparing himself, you can talk about that. Hey, why you're not preparing yourself to achieve your ultimate goal? You know what I mean? You can talk about that. You don't have to talk about what is motivated because basically what you're saying is that aren't you motivated anymore? That's basically what you're saying. You're trying to guilt him. You're pretty much trying to guilt him to get back on the floor, and that's nasty. That's dirty. That's dirty to me, in my opinion. So that's enough on that. But I'm with Joel Embiid, and I think that he's lucky he got shoved. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I'm all about, you know what I mean? I'm not an angry person. You know what I mean? I'm always smiling. I'm always happy. But I'm about, getting down and dirty too. You know what I mean? Like people, and that's the thing I see in society nowadays. People seem like being angry is not part of just being a human. You know what I mean? Like we are happy. We can't just be happy. That's unbalanced. You know what I mean? Happy and sad, they're opposite forces, right? It's like if you're never sad, how do you know how happiness feel? If you're never happy, how do you know sadness feel? You know what I mean? Are angry or whatever the case may be. It's part of your natural emotions, and we act like that's not supposed to happen, right? You know, if if you're angry at something, then you need tuning. You're a bad person. You're horrible. You need tuning up. And man, get out of here with that shit, man. Get out of here with that shit. It's a natural part of human emotion, a natural part of human expression, right? And he has a right to express that he's upset, and you don't have a right to tell him what he should be upset. A lot of people are saying that he's upset because he's not living up to expectations, and living up to expectations is pretty much being on the floor, because when he's on the floor he's a beast, right? But a lot of people are saying that he's upset, he's more upset about that. That's why he shoved it in the the reporter, and he's saying to the reporter, hey, leave my family name and mom. So he's telling you exactly what I'm upset about. Leave my family name out of your freaking mouth, right? So you don't have no right to tell him what he should be upset about, and try to tell him that no, you're not upset about this, no, you're upset about that. No, he's telling you what he's upset about, and he has a right to upset because that's his family. He know how he feels about his family. You don't have no right to say that. Get out of here with that shit every single day, every single time, and go find words if you don't have words. You lame, okay? And that's my spiel about that. The next thing I'm gonna talk about is not something that I talk about that much, right? Because I don't really like to dwell into people's downfall, but I'm gonna talk about it anyway, and that is Cushane Carter. A lot of people know him as CMR, right? And I've been listening to CMR for a long time, right? I think at the time he was in the military at the time, and he started YouTube. Them time YouTube just born and was just growing up, right? And there's a few people that I used to listen to. I used to listen to Soul Flow. I used to listen to, and I still listen to Soul Flow. I used to listen to CMR. And there's another dude. I don't see him on I see him every now and then, but I think it was DMR or something like that. He was on there, right? Talking about, the talking up, the Vice Cartel, the Alkaline, what I mean, just music in general, right? Long before you have people like Pterodan, and you have people like TEF, and um, and them Fame Edges. Long before you have them people, what I mean, even one of the people back in the day was JA Radio, right? They have been in it for a long time, right? CMR has been in it, but as of recently, I haven't been listening or watching his stuff that much, because I just think that he's in a bad place spiritually, right? And when I say spiritually, I don't mean that if you pray to Jesus Christ, Allah, or Guru Nanak, or Buddha, right? I don't mean that. Spiritually is that you are one with yourself. You are one with your character. Is that you know that who you are is who you say you are is who you are. That's the spirituality I'm talking about. In one with yourself, right? It's all about finding yourself, and I think that his spirituality is kind of out of whack. So there's nothing there really for me to follow. You know what I mean? Um, and he has caught a lot of bad, coverage or bad press as of recently. I'm not going to really say what those are. It's well documented. People can go look it up. But he's been brought up. He's been arrested, right? And recently, right? And charged, right? Arrested and charged. Let me make sure that he's charged, because I don't want to say anything that is not true. Where is it at? CLCO. Where is it at? I had it up here. I had it up here. Let me see here. There's a lot of stuff here that I'm not even gonna read out. But anyway, he's arrested for lewd and lascivious acts, right? And lewd and lascivious acts are sexual acts against a minor, right? When I looked it up, it says under the age of 14. It says here, legal term lewd and lascivious typically refers to a crime which occurs when an adult has sexual contact with underage child. A violation of, and they give the code right there, when the victim is under 14 years old, is always a felony and a strike under, well, this is under California law, right? But he's arrested under Florida law, right? Also here, I just read the California statute, but here it says it kind of breaks it down a little bit. Again, it says lewd and lascivious behavior can include intentionally touching a minor's body or clothing in a lustful manner. Okay, encourage a minor to touch certain parts of the defendant's body. So that means if you, the adult, is telling the minor to touch you a certain type of way, then that's lewd and lascivious, right? Um, Encourage them touching your own body lewdly in public. Huh. So, for those of us who like to grab our balls, right, or grab our private, that could also constitute lewd and lascivious, and especially if a minor is in the vicinity and the parent or the minor find it offensive, you can be brought. It seems like you can be brought up on charges for lewd and lascivious acts, right, against a minor. So, um, yeah. So for those of us who like to grab our private parts and touch yourself a certain way, and and put out your tongue, things like that. These are things that we probably need to stay away from, um, um, because you could be charged for lewd and lascivious, for committing lewd and lascivious acts against a minor, right? Soliciting someone else to touch your body lewdly in public. That's lewd and lascivious. It says also be lewd behavior that incites sexual imagination or longing, right? Lascivious acts that arouse sexual desire, right? So that's what he's brought up on charge for, right? I see here that he also it looks like he has a public defendant. Let me make sure that's what I saw. Yeah, so he says he has three cases against him, and there's other cases out there. I kind of know what they are, but I'm not gonna say, right? If you want to find out, because I said I don't try to kick people when they're done. I don't, I don't really dwell in people's downfall, okay? Because I myself is not perfect, okay? Three cases against Kushe Demaya Carter, represented by Office of the Public Defender. That's where I'm kind of angling this conversation on public defender, right? If there's anybody close to him, if I were close to him, I would strongly encourage him to get a lawyer that he paid for. Okay, public defenders are normally in the business of making deals, right? And if you want to be able to pick up and drop your kids off to school, right? It would behoove you, it would behoove you to get a lawyer. Anywhere you got to find that money from to pay a lawyer, and you can find lawyers out there that is just you pay them a flat rate and you pay them one time, right? And they work the case for you, right? As opposed to paying hourly, right? There's lawyers out there who will take the case, to say, okay, 5,000 or whatever, and I'll work this case for you, as opposed to I'm gonna charge you $400, $500, $1,000 an hour, right? Um, but a public defender, to me, is not gonna really do you any good, right? It's only gonna bring you more problems because they're they're trying to get the case over with. They're in my own opinion, they're there to clear the backlogs, right? They get you in a pre deal in a plea deal. With plea deals that you're pleading guilty to something for a lesser charge or lesser consequences. So you might say, okay, I'm only getting 1 year as opposed to the 25 years that they promised me, right? Or what the charge, should have been, or what the charge bring about. But you got to look at it to say, okay, you plead guilty to something, and this can have long lasting effect on the rest of your life, right? You may have to move from where you live because it's close by a school, right? Because this has to do with like uh, ped- pedophilia, right? If you're doing lewd and lascivious acts, or if you're found guilty for committing lewd and lascivious acts against a minor, this falls under pedophilia, right? So no, you can't go to school to pick up your daughter, right? and you can't drop off your daughter to school. Daughter to school. You may even have to be supervised around your own kids. You know what I mean? So I would think that a public defender, in order for you to maintain your innocence, if you are in fact innocent, right, and to maintain that, you would want a lawyer to go fight for you, to go bat for you, as opposed to a public defender. So that's kind of what I want to talk about. In that, it's a serious allegation, right? It's nothing to play around with. Um, but a lot of people are suspecting it's his daughter. Nobody's gonna know who the victim is. It's protocol in these kind of cases to protect the victim. You know what I mean? Because nobody want to put that on the victim. The victim is the one that is normally protected in terms of you're able to go out there and get on with your life, get on with your career. You know what I mean? For him, the one who is accused, in some case, in some instances, I disagree with it, because if you're found not guilty and innocent, what I mean, all your good reputation is gone, right? And people are gonna judge you based on that. I've seen it happen firsthand. I've seen it happen, right? Not by me, but by people that I know, that their reputation, it follows them. It doesn't matter where you go, even though they're found not guilty or nothing became of the case. The case got quashed or squashed or whatever. Because these kind of cases are really hard to prove, actually, right? They're really hard to prove, especially when it comes to like lewd and lascivious. It's kind of a he say, she say. Sexual assault is are kind of that way, unless that is actual rape, right? Sexual assault, somebody could just say something to you, and it constitutes sexual assault. Or somebody could be in the vicinity and they overhear something, and it constitutes sexual assault. Okay, so and then somebody could hear something about another person, and it constitutes sexual assault. So these things, lewd and lascivious, is kind of really hard to prove. Is a he say, she say, right? They're gonna have to be some hard evidence to say, because as I said before, that it could be that he touches himself. You know what I mean? It could be that his balls itch and he's itching his balls and somebody got offended. You know what I mean? It could be just that, or it could just be that, okay, he's touching himself in a sex and making sexual advances to the minor, or having the minor touch him his person, or touching the minor, in a lewd, lascivious way, right? It could be all of those, all of the above, but it's kind of hard to prove. Let's put that out there. And sad to say, sadly, his reputation is gonna take a huge hit. You know what I mean? If I was advising him again, I would say try to find something that you can do in which you can create a livelihood for yourself. Go into business. You know what I mean? Because when you go to employers are looking for these type of things, and sometimes, because you're not found guilty of anything, it doesn't mean that you're not guilty, right? And because you're found guilty of things, sometimes it doesn't mean that you are guilty. Kind of what Deshaun Watson, I covered that in another video, that Deshaun Watson is going through. He wasn't indicted on anything, right? There's no criminal charges against him. There's civil litigation against him for sexual assault, right? And he was punished by the league for conduct detrimental. But apart from that, he doesn't have any criminal whatsoever that came down from all those allegations against him, right? But his reputation is tarnished, and I don't think he will ever get it back. I played a video as well with Michael Irvin, the NFL wide receiver, that said that he was found not guilty, actually sued people, got a lot of money. The money was paid, but his name was tarnished for the rest of his life. So these allegations are very serious. It's nothing to take lightly, and by anybody, and including the defendant, right? And when I look here and I see Office of Public Defender, it could mean that you're taking it lightly, right? It's nothing to take lightly. It would behoove you to find and pay for a lawyer for yourself that works for you, right? Who will make an argument for you, as opposed to a public defender who, in most cases, are trying to get a plea bargain. Doesn't look good. Okay, that's that on the CMR case. A couple other things before I close out this segment is that I'm gonna go political for a little bit, right? First of all, here in the United States, election is on Tuesday, and for those who don't know, in the election year, every 4 years, the first Tuesday of November is the president is election day, right? There's other elections that takes place, throughout the year. Some of them is every 2 years and things like that. But the big one is the first Tuesday of every November, and the first Tuesday of November this year is the 5th. So that's election day. There's a lot of things to be voted for. Especially in California, there's a lot of propositions that is going to be on the ballots, right? Um, there's I see in Texas, Ted Cruz is fighting a hot battle over there between the former NFL player who's running against him for his Senate seat. They're going to be on the ballot as well. So there's a lot of things that are going to be on the ballot, not just the people who are vying for the presidential office. Okay, who is going to win? I don't know, right? I know who I hope win. I hope Kamala Harris win. One, it would be historic. It would be historical. The first female president, right? And the first black woman president, right? Or the first Jamaican, U.S. president with Jamaican heritage. We already have a governor. The governor of, I think is Maryland, if I'm not mistaken, right? He has Jamaican heritage. So if we can lock up the presidency, then that will look good for Jamaica, right? This tiny island on the map, making all kind of noises in all kind of areas, throughout history and now. So that would be nice, right? Um, um, Trump, I mean, if he wins, he wins, right? But I think that one day, if he win, he might be the president, and then he's going to be the president, and then there's another time when his time is going to be over. He's not going to be the president. But for all that is at stake, and all the threats and all the get back and things like that, I really don't want him to be the president. What I mean, and I always tell people that Hitler and Mussolini, they were people that was voted for, right? And what they did, people say they couldn't do it, right? Including myself. I say a lot of the things that Trump is saying he can't really do, right? But then I'm reminded that Hitler, and I'm not saying he's Hitler, you know what I mean? But those people were voted in, right? That's how they got where they at, and they were able to change things. I think Putin was voted in too, right? A lot of dictators were voted in, right? And they got to where they got to by consensus, right? Which means everybody, or most people, agree that they should hold the position that they hold. A lot of those dictators do, right? Or did. and they end up becoming a dictator and wreak havoc on those very people, right? Right? When the North Korea split when North Korea split, you know, everybody agreed that the family, right, who now run North Korea, everybody agreed that that person should have took it over and ran it to the point where it becomes a family heritage thing, and no, they're stuck with just one family running everything, right? Dictatorship, right? And the same can happen here. You know, what I mean, democracy is a very fragile thing, and it depends on just people in positions, having integrity and having a pair of balls, to prevent things from happening, right? So it doesn't mean that it can't happen to where somebody become voted in, become the president, become a dictator, right? I'm not saying that he's going to, right? But there's a lot of things that is leaning that way, right? Um, um, yeah, but yeah, those people was voted in, right? And they went left. It went left. Okay. Um, Taking it to Jamaica now. I was well, before I go there, former Speaker of the House, um, former Speaker of the House, Marlisa Dalrymple, right? She stepped down from that position as Speaker of the House, and also she stepped down as Member of Parliament for South Trelawney, right? Yeah, South Trelawney. That's where she was MP. She stepped down from both of those positions because she was founded by the Integrity Commissions to have misrepresented facts on her statutory declaration. She omitted to mention that she owned a BMW. No, not a BMW, a Mercedes Benz that she was collect that she one bought on concessions from the government, but also was collecting concessions from the government for the repairs and maintenance of the vehicle. Right? She failed to put that on her statutory declaration. It was said by herself. I can say that it was said by herself. It's in the document that she don't drive the car. Her sister drives the car. Or she never drove the car. She drove a SUV because the road is bad where she goes in Trelawney, which to me that's kind of doesn't make you a case. I mean, to the public, because as an MP, it's kind of your job to make sure that the roads are fixed. So if the roads in your constituency is that, or in your constituents is that bad to the point where you can even drive your Mercedes Benz there, then that speaks negatively on you as an MP, right? So that to me, that's not a good defense, you know, in terms of protecting your reputation, both as a person and as a member of parliament, right? Um, so she said her sister is the one that had the car, um, but you can't use government concessions to buy vehicles for your family member, right? So that's in itself, in of itself, it's not a good defense either, in my view, right? I'm not a lawyer, but I mean, as a thinking person, right? That's just not a good defense, right? You can't use government, and you're still collecting concessions from the government. So in the event that if you are correct, or if she's correct that she buy the car for her sister, she number one, you use government concessions. That means you committed fraud, right? That's number one. Number two, you're ripping off the government because the government is giving you concessions for for the repairs. I don't know if that's monthly or annually or whatever it is, but it's in the document that she took repair concessions for repair and maintenance, right? So now you're ripping off the government, right? So to say that it's your sister and because it's your sister you forgot to put it is not a good example. But also this person is being alleged, right? And it is widely reported that she has stolen land in her law practice, right? And were under investigation by the CGL, right? And I think this CGL, is it CGL? I think it's CGL, the one that governed the bar, that governed like all the lawyers, you know, in Jamaica, right? I don't think she have a law license. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think she have a law license. I think she lost that because of malpractice, right? So she has a track record of being deceptive, right? She has a track record of being deceptive. So so let me correct this. It would appear that she has, or it appears to me that she has a track record of being deceptive, right? Because you've been alleged to have stolen acres of land. At one point, I heard, that it was about like 50 acres of land that was misrepresented by her, and are misappropriated by her, that she was put in charge of to do allocations or protect, and the land was misallocated by her, through her law practice, right? That's the allegations against her, right? And now there's more allegations slash charges or findings, I should say, that she misrepresented facts on her, or omitted facts on her statutory declaration. She stepped down from her member of parliament position, but now she's being brought back by the Jamaica Labour Party to represent that same place, right? And I heard an interview with her trying to explain herself, and I wonder how come she's a lawyer, because that doesn't make sense either. Because her retort to the questions is that she shouldn't have stepped down in the first place. She thought she did the right thing in the first place, which many agreed. I think the entire Jamaica agreed that it's the right thing you do. Step down from all this stuff until we figure out if you're a thief or not. Or if we figure if you're corrupt or not, right? And then if you're not corrupt, then I'm fine. You know what I mean? But you did the right thing. So she said that many on both sides of the aisle has said that she shouldn't have stepped down. She shouldn't have gone that far. She should have just stepped down from her role as as um, as what is it, Speaker of the House. And the way she went about that was kind of shady too, because she wanted to pass it up. The report was supposed to be tabled, and she was the one re, responsible for tabling the report, and she wanted to pass it off to the committee to review. And people were like, no, the committee doesn't review the results of the report or what's in the report. They review the actual operation of the Integrity Commission, to see if they need proper staffing, if they need more resources, things like that. If they are acting in impropriety, that's for the courts to decide if the Integrity Commission is acting in impropriety, not the oversight committee. The oversight committee should make sure that it's a well. That's what their oversight is for, to make sure it's a well-oiled machine. That's what the oversight is for. It's not for for anybody to override reports and delay and all that stuff. It was just a shit show, right? And anyway, they had to be tabled, and what she should have done is pretty much recuse herself. So what that doesn't even make her look good. It means once again it showed her to be deceptive, right? Should have done is recuse herself and have the deputy do it, right? But then she tried to toss it off to the side, and and was very vociferous and forceful about it, even though she was wrong. It is what we call wrong and strong. She was wrong and strong about it. You know what I mean? So yeah, but once again, they're gonna renominate her to represent that same constituents that she stepped down from, which a lot of people, including myself, think is wrong, because the 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 factors that caused her to step down in the first place is not fully litigated in the courts of law, right? It's not fully litigated. That means yes, they went to court, but there's no judgment yet, right? And until there's a judgment, because what if you have to go do jail time? You know what I'm saying? How are you going to represent the people in jail? That doesn't make sense, right? And there was another person trying to defend it, saying that what she did are the findings, because he didn't say that she's innocent. He said the findings against her haven't rise to the level to where she have to step down as member of parliament, and I just say bullshit again, right? That's bull, right? We're talking about integrity here, stealing from the government coffers, and even if it's in the form of concessions, if you're misleading and misrepresenting facts in order to collect concessions, it doesn't matter how small you might think it is. Corruption is there's no way to weigh corruption, because you can be in there for 40, 50 years stealing a little, right? 40, 50 years times a little is millions / billions of dollars, right? You steal from the government. So I'm not with that. In my view, you need to sit your ass somewhere until everything is over. Even though the people may be calling, but we got to understand, those people are die-hearted anyway. Those people are die-hearted anyway. Those people are going to be with you regardless what happened to you. So to say that people are calling for me and I shouldn't have stepped down, I went too far with my self punishment, is just baloney. You should step down and remain step down until your case is fully litigated and adjudicated. That's my view on that, right? Another thing now with I was watching a program, and a lawyer came on the program. I was watching the Reason with Rattigan program, and a lawyer came on the program. ISAT was there. And before I go there, there's a lot of people, saying that is kind of the Dalrymple situation is kind of like the ISAT situation, because she hasn't been convicted yet. Um, ISAT is a convicted felon, and I beg to disagree there, right? And I would say, and actually comment on some of these things. I was like, ISAT. A lot of most Jamaicans would choose ISAT over her in a heartbeat, based on the fact that ISAT, yes, he was a convicted felon. Some of it is some of it is has been expunged. He is a convicted felon in the United States for drug charges, right? But most of his crimes was committed when he was a young man, right? When he was a young man, way before his brain was fully developed. Your brain is fully developed when you're 25 years of age, right? Right? So after 25, scientifically, we can say that you are of a sound mind, right? Because your brain, your frontal cortex, whatever it is fully developed, right? You can fully exercise thought, right? Unless you have some other mental issues, right? But we can say you are of a sound mind, right? Isaac committed crimes when he wasn't of a sound mind. His brain wasn't fully developed. In the United States, right? If you go try to get car insurance, your car insurance rate is gonna be really high until you're 25. Because below 25, you are more likely to get in an accident. That's why your insurance premiums are higher, because your brain is not fully developed. You're more prone to mistakes. You're more prone to bad judgment, right? This woman, Marlisa Darrell Rimple, she is a grown woman. Seems like she could be, she definitely could be my mom in terms of age, right? But she could be a grandparent and she's still making bad decisions. That's a more of a character trait than anything else. That's more of a character trait. She's a fully grown woman, and as I said, she has a track record. It's alleged that she has a track record of being deceptive, and it shows in Parliament when she tried to hide a report that was about her, right? And it shows where she is collecting concessions and a car that she claimed that is not hers. Either way you take it, you're committing fraud, right? So anybody who's coming up with the ISAT correlation thing, that's bad analogy. You just need to drop it. You're making yourself look even more dumb. Okay, just leave that alone, because there's smart people out here like myself who can break that down. And people even more smarter than me, right? I don't like to throw around smart as it relates to myself a lot, even though I know I am. But what I mean, I try to be humble in life. What I mean? But yeah, so leaving that alone. Yes, I was watching the Reason with Ratchet Gun show, and you have two lawyers in there, Isaac, and you have Isaac Buchanan, and you have Hugh Wildman, right? And the Royal Reed case was brought up, right? And it was said by Mr. Wildman, King Counsel, that one of the things that they're litigating in the courts is that the FID was the one that arrested and charged Royal Reed. And and Royal Reed and his team of lawyers is contesting to the fact that the FID does not have those powers. They don't have arresting powers. They only have investigative powers. Right? So they're contesting that, and then say for example they win that contest, to say okay they don't have arresting powers, right? part of arrest or charge anybody. What now? You know, what's going to happen is that no, they're going to throw out the case because it's been delayed for so it's been years, past 5 years, right? It's been years. So what's going to happen now? Like, so to me, that's a gaping loophole right there, right? And to me, it just seemed like a lot of these laws is like one man sat down and wrote these laws, right? Without any like consensus on these laws. You know, this law hasn't gone through any rigors whatsoever, no fail tests whatsoever, because before they actually put on the table and actually become laws, right? Or maybe they have been written by a group of people, a group of lawyers, I hope, but still there's no test, there's no rigors that it has been put into the test, right? Because how you put these things to the test is that you put them on the floor and they're debated, so you can find the flaws, so you can fix the bill before it becomes law. But we have a history of government ramrodding these laws. They wait like they have either they have an overwhelming majority, you know, in the House of Representative and in the Senate, right? And they just ran these laws through. They use their majority and they pass these laws and say we have laws on the books. But then the laws don't work anything if you have a gaping loophole where people can don't even have to crawl through. They just walk through it. And that's a very significant problem that we're having. Like, we can't hold nobody accountable because there's always something. There's always some delay tactic. There's always some holes, some back door left open that they just walk right out through, or some window that they can jump through. This is a problem. So I keep saying, like Mark Golden, you know, a lot of people are hoping that Mark Golden become the next prime minister, but I'm saying he's not a panacea. I would like to see some more people brought up and investigated in terms of ask them the tough questions, right? Interrogate them, ask them the tough question. What are you gonna do about all these damn laws that is on the book, that's worthless laws that is on the book that's not even properly written, right? If that's the case, this is not a properly written law. So what are we gonna do about closing all these loopholes? Whatever government assume the next government, even if this same government assume government, there needs to be some form of loophole closing initiative. This just you mean that somebody can rip off the entire Ministry of Education and just walk through a back door and still a regular member of society just scotch free like that? Because the FID and the FID, if they can investigate you, they should be able to arrest you, just like the FBI, Homeland Security. Them people, right? They can investigate you and they can arrest you and they can charge you. So why don't the FID have arresting powers and powers to charge people? They should have that charge. And if it and if the discrepancies that they're in the Ministry of Finance, they move them over to the Ministry of Security. And still fund them out of the Ministry of Finance pot. Because they're investigating financial crimes. That's what they're there for. To investigate financial crimes. So how can you be investigating financial crime? Like, what are you going to tell the police? Because now they're saying that the police is the only one that have arresting powers, and the Department of Public Prosecution is the only one that can actually bring it, charge you, or whatever the case may be. So, are the police? So What are you going to tell the police? Because don't them other people don't know about finance. So what are you going to tell them? Okay, say for example, I'm in that department and I'm the one arresting you and I'm the one charging. I'm going to say, well, the FID say I should charge you against about these things. Well, the FID say you do this, so at this me I charge you for. And if you're smart enough, because normally financial crimes are by smart people, they're in that field, they're in that industry, so they can overpower anybody who don't know what the hell they're talking about, right? So imagine me coming to you. I'm gonna sound weak. Well, the FID says I should charge you for this, and then when you ask them what this is, well, I don't know. Ask the FID. Come on, that doesn't make sense. You gotta, if those people can investigate, they should be able to prosecute or at least charge you, right? So we're pretty much creating. That's how they do it. You know what I mean? They don't form laws, and they don't form laws, and they don't put together institutions that is going to hold them accountable or has the teeth or has girth or has teeth to hold them accountable. They put together these shams, smoke screens. That's all they're going around putting up, right? To say these institutions can is there, and these elaborate in these elaborate terms that they use to describe these institutions, financial investigating division. It sounds so fancy, but they don't have no teeth, empty gums. So I don't have no faith in that. If I should make a prediction, Roy Reed is going to walk. You see the results, like less than 18% of the whole Jamaican like kids last exam, right? Who took their final exams. Less than 18, less than 18 score high in math and English. That's preposterous. That's atrocious. And that's the result, because the results don't show up right away. It show up years down the line. It doesn't show up right away. That's a resulted from him stealing from the Ministry of Education. So all those resources that money was supposed to go towards to put in place for those kids, those resources for those kids is lacking, and the result is what you got. And this guy's just gonna walk free because the laws don't have teeth. We probably need to hire some dentists to write these damn freaking laws so they can give them teeth. So they can give them teeth. You know what I mean? We need to put together committees, groups of people who are gonna write these laws, and they're gonna take it, and we need to put a rule that these bills are debated extensively wherever they go to get approval. Whether in Parliament, in the Senate, wherever it is, it needs to be properly debated, and there needs to be a threshold as to how long the debate take place. Like the last time they tried to ram through a law to protect the DPP position, right? They just ram it through overnight, ramrod these damn laws. No, it shouldn't be that way. There needs to put it in there somewhere that these laws or these bills are debated for a extensive period of time, whether you want to say a whole month, a whole 2 months, or 3 weeks, even that. God damn it, man. And this is not just one government. This seems like because a lot of these laws are there for a while. So it's not just one government. This is a practice by governments, successive governments in Jamaica, right? Putting through these laws, ramrodding these laws through without any process whatsoever, no oversight. Man, there's so many things I want to say on here right now to tell you the truth, to describe this thing, but you know what? I'm gonna hold my mouth. Okay? I'm gonna hold my mouth. Okay? And that's it on the issues that I'm gonna talk about. You know, it's now what time? Let me see the time. It's 11:42, so it's going on midnight, right? It's um it's daylight saving time, so the time has changed. It's actually we're officially in fall, right? So the clock has fall back 1 hour. So a lot of us are feeling it. If you wake up feeling tired, or you wake up and outside is still dark, or at about 4:30 Pacific time. I can only speak on specific time because that's where I live, right? That 4:30, the sun sets, and starting to get dark outside, right? So you can feel that effect. It takes a while for your body to adjust, right? So I'm adjusting as well. So even though I did this live today, it's nothing that I felt like I wanted to do today. To be honest with you, I felt like I want to just lay there and just be a couch potato. But you know what? I started this initiative, and I'm gonna continue with it. It's something I like doing, but even though you like doing things, and it doesn't mean that you like doing things. You're gonna like doing it every day. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that you don't have down days when you just don't feel like doing anything. But I'm glad I powered through it and I got it done. So once again, thanks for watching Wild Thoughts on JMRB Media. Like it, subscribe it, subscribe to it. Make your comments in the section. I do appreciate your feedback. I'm in the trial and error phase. Okay, so if there's something I need to um, switch up or change or do better, just let me know in the comment section. I am not gonna stop stuttering though. This stuttering has followed me my entire life. I've gotten comfortable with it. I used to be teased about it. I don't care anymore about that. I've grown through that. That's been happening in my entire life. So don't expect me to stop stuttering. I've gotten better, but there's times where it actually gets worse and then it gets better. So I've been going through that, my entire life. I do stutter, so that's not one thing is you can expect to be fixed. But anything else, lighting and all that stuff can be fixed. Okay, uh, I have lighting, but I'm trying many different style of lighting. I have one that I prefer, but I'm still trying out different things. So but once again, leave your comments and let me know what you think about what I have covered in the topics as well. So once again, thank you for tuning in. Take care.